Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I'm glad you're here. Today's topic is one that's going to make all of us stop and think. You give better advice than you live. So let's be real for a minute. How many times have you sat down with a family member, a friend, or even a coworker and knew exactly what they needed to do? The words just flew. Like you just told them stop settling, to leave a toxic relationship, or to apply for this job, or stop letting people take advantage of them, and to believe in themselves. And you mean every word, but then life has a funny way of holding a mirror up to your face because somewhere in your life, like you're doing the exact opposite. Why is that? I think one reason is because we're emotionally invested in our own situations. I don't know, when it comes to someone else's life, you think logically. I don't know, but for some reason, you give better advice than you live. Let's have an honest conversation. What you think, bro?
Well, I think you make up some good points. Of course, I think part of it is emotion, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Um, and we can add in selfishness, right?
mhm.
Because you expect somebody, if they want to do better, to do the some things that they need, right, to
Mhm,
do better.
mhm.
But in your life, you're like, man, I ain't doing all that. Laziness might be a part, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like the old saying goes, it's easier said than done, right? So you can always, I think, if you're a rational person, you're going to give decent advice if you're thoughtful and so forth.
Right,
But it is lacking of emotion, lacking of things you have to do.
right.
You know, I think in one of our first um,
Mhm,
cast podcasts, as some people go back and watch the beginnings, I think one of the topics that we had was laziness, right?
mhm. Right,
Stops you from doing a lot of different things, but
right,
it's real easy to sound smart,
right.
you know.
It's another thing I noticed. I think sometimes we get so busy with helping everybody else fix their lives that we neglect our own. I don't know. Are you? I don't know. No, bro. You can sometimes you can be an advice giver too. Um,
I only give advice if I'm asked.
yeah, yeah.
I don't
I
throw it
don't
out
think.
there. You tell me something, I'll be like, all right. And people be like, oh, you don't care. No, it's not that. It's not
I
that I
mean, you
don't
gotta
care.
welcome me in. Yes,
Right. I mean,
welcome me in.
yeah,
Yeah,
unless you ask, it is what it is.
yeah, yeah. I think sometimes we're better at recognizing unhealthy patterns in other people. I think I think sometimes we ignore them in ourselves. Did that make sense? You see what I'm saying? Like we get so comfortable at recognizing um patterns in other people that we forget to self-reflect on our own self or what we got going on. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I feel you. You say patterns, I say faults,
Yeah, okay. False. Mm,
right?
mm,
You were doing the political way. You were,
yeah.
patterns. You was
Uh,
doing all this. You know,
yeah,
let me
yeah.
walk you across the street, lady. But also a lot of times I don't give advice, or I think, well, anyway, um, giving advice is very tricky because some people don't want it. That's
Right,
why I only give it if it's asked.
right,
People
right.
get mad at you.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're pointing
Mhm.
out their faults. But a lot of times, like your parents used to tell, or parents used to say back in the day, I've done everything that you could
Mhm.
even think about doing.
Right, right,
You
right,
know what I mean? So sometimes in those situations, depending on if you're a peer, where that word comes up again,
right, right.
or you're looking at an elder person giving advice, and they're giving, or you're giving them advice. It's
You just touched on something so crazy because you know how you just said, when your parents say, yeah, I did that already, and they already know. When you're raising your kids and you're giving them that advice or that, that certain scenario or situation, and you already in the experience that you didn't did it, whatever. Now you're saying to your kid, don't do it. Does that make it kind of contradictory? Because, you know, what if your kid knew something that you did and, they did it too, and they like, well, you did it too.
yeah. I mean, that's to me. That's well. First of all, let me break. I think that's of course a kid would say that because they're immature.
Right, right.
All right, because also a famous saying: if someone jumped off a bridge, would you do
You
it
do
too?
it too. Yes.
You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Right.
So, um, and that should add credence to it. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
if you talk to a person that's like we were talking about, basketball on a scenario, LeBron coming to Philly and all that,
Yeah, LeBron,
right?
y'all. Okay.
Yeah, whatever, right? And so, you hear something like that, and it's like, yo, if LeBron tells you something, like Philly might need to get some knowledge from this big scheme of things because he's been around. I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, savant, and all that.
Hmm.
You should listen, right?
More experience.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So even though he's
But
made some mistakes in his careers and all that, well, you did
right,
that, yeah, but okay,
right. Right.
he's past the threshold. He climbed that ladder. So, now now this is the trick question. All right,
Uh,
let's just say you meet a street person, y'all talking. It happens. Street people give good advice,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Now you're not looking at success at that point and proving it.
right.
They're down and out, but the advice that they're saying, like you see some of these TikTok Jones where they try to explain, different things and so forth, and you're like,
Mm.
there's some knowledge behind that.
I
Do
see.
you?
I got a whole thing on that. I don't like the influence stuff because you got to look at that word, influencer. They're trying to influence you to look at things their way. Is their way correct? You know, so
That's not
I
what
got
I
a
was
whole
talking about.
that's
But go
I got a
ahead.
whole discussion on that, but go ahead, go ahead.
No, I'm talking about a bum, a street person,
A homeless man, homeless woman, homeless. Okay.
whatever. I tried to say street person. You was going with influencer,
Know
so
what you was talking about,
I
a
had
street
to throw it in
person.
a bum.
Homeless,
A bum.
homeless. You say homeless.
All right. All right. So, if they give you advice, and some of them get good advice
Yeah,
because they've had a lot of, you don't know what their life is,
right.
but do you not pay attention to it because of their situation?
Hmm. Well, I mean, that's kind of living up to the topic. You give better advice than you live.
Right.
I mean,
But you know how many times you see a older person come up to you, you know what you need to pay attention to?
yeah, yeah.
You're like, man, get out my
Yeah.
face, man.
It's so funny. I had jury duty this week and I got picked for a trial. And I was talking to the other jurors, and we was in there talking about kids and the cost of living and everything like that. And the one lady said, she said, I told my kids just to come back home and reset. She was like, I said, come home, just come home and reset. She said, cost of living is just ridiculous.
Mm,
And I was like, hmm, interesting.
okay.
Interesting.
So what's the point?
I'm thinking, is that good advice? You know,
It depends on the situation, depends on our kids.
yeah.
Are they responsible enough that they can reset? Or
And
are
come
they
home
lazy?
and respect the house also, because now you're
That's what I mean.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, reset means you can come back and so forth. And again, like I said, it all depends on the kids.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So everybody has their own situation. Yeah, it's tough out there. Do you have to suffer through it? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess everybody has to go through the test.
I mean, I mean, but that you can go. That may be a cultural thing that we need to work on as a people.
Yeah,
You know what I
I see
mean?
that.
But it depends on the kid, man. I mean, and shoot, it depends on the parent. Like if our parents say, "Yo, you can come back to the crib and reset," I'd be like, "Nah, I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm good." No, I mean they're good people, and
Yes.
but nah, I mean,
Right. You gonna go ahead and suffer, huh? You gonna
I,
work it out.
I,
You gonna work it
I
out. I know
have.
it. Yes, I know that's right. Yep. I know that right. Listen, this is the question for this episode, guys. So make sure you tune in and answer this question. Um, so we can answer that question on the next episode. And today's question is, what's one piece of advice you've been giving others that you need to start taking yourself? So tune in for that, guys. I mean, we want to hear your comments on that. Answer that question, and we may pick somebody's response and say it on the and respond to it on the next episode.
Well,
That's the
what's
question.
yours? What's yours?
How I was sitting here trying to think of what advice do I give people? Because you know me, I'm like you. If you until you bring me in, I ain't really talking to you about your stuff unless you bring it into me. And even then, it's like I don't really want to, I don't really want to tell you something that may be incorrect and ruin your life. I don't want to do
I don't care about that.
that. Wait a minute.
Once you ask, man, that's called the disclaimer, bro. Whatever happens is on you.
Can't really answer that question because, I have girlfriends that have asked me things about relationships, and we talk about each other relationships, other girlfriends' relationships, and stuff like that. But I can't really say it's an advice I have given others that I don't do myself.
I got one.
What?
Be open about your feelings. Express yourself.
Hmm.
That's advice that I give people that
Right,
I don't do.
right, right. Mm, good one. Good one. That's a good one. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think you on to something.
Yep.
'Cause I always tell my kids something, and I know I ain't did it.
Mm.
I know I didn't do
All
it.
right. Be honest. Express
Yes,
yourself.
yes, yes. I mean,
You know,
I know
let
I
them
didn't
really
do
know
that. I
how you
didn't.
feel.
Right, right. Yeah. I think the I think the difference between knowing what's right and actually doing what's right is, I mean, that's just an everyday lifestyle. Like that's every day. You
You know
know,
what? I was listening to something. Who was it? I mean, I've heard a couple of people say this, but I think the last person was maybe Ray Allen, right?
mm,
Um, used to play with the Celtics and all that. And he was, everybody feels like all of a sudden they have some knowledge, right? And he was explaining something. But the key thing is that, you know, as they say, doers do, right? You can
mhm,
talk about doing all day long.
right,
Unless you actually start doing, it's just yeah.
right.
And
Excuse.
that's the thing out there. People will spend a lot of time talking, but not a lot of time doing. Procrastination is one, laziness is one, non-belief,
Right,
insecurity, all that. But we give very good advice. Um, we are judgmental people as a whole, I think.
right, right.
Um, I think as a whole, we don't follow our advice. And this is kind of political and off base, but the Republican Party on
Mhm.
certain aspects,
Right. Right.
right? When you're
I
talking about, ethics,
right.
money responsibility,
Right.
treatment of children and treatment of women, the things that they say are when they get convicted, are
Mhm.
the opposite things of what they've been doing.
Right.
So, you know, that's one thing that frightens me is when
Mhm.
you because I don't trust people anyway, right? So
Mhm.
when I'm getting
Yeah, I think, most of the time, most people already know the answer to whatever it is they're going. They already know the answer. I think most
I don't know
people,
about that. I don't know about that.
no, I think we just waiting for the answer to become easier. That's all. I mean, we pretty much most of the time, I think, if you're an adult, I mean, kids, you teach your kids right for wrong. So they know that part, but they haven't had the experience yet to, really um kind of know life yet. But I think as an adults, we just wait for it to become easier,
Uh,
especially if
I
it's
don't know. I mean, I think some of that's true. I think some of it is not knowing because I've met a lot of adults who would ask me simple questions like, "What should I do if this happens?" Right, and it's
right.
be something basic, right?
Mhm.
Like if I had a buddy ask me, "Yo, if I get a ticket, right,
Mhm.
what should I do?"
Right.
I said, "What do you mean? Like, what should I do? Should I go to court? Should I pay for it? Should I ignore it?" I was like, "What's the ticket for?" What I mean, something basic, traffic violation. I said, "Did you do it?" Right? No. I said, "Well, the advice is normally if you go there, right, you can get it reduced.
Mhm.
Right? If you just show up, you can get it reduced. Talk to the assistant DA, whatever, or public, whatever. I mean, just and keep it moving. Or if you have proof and say I want to go to court, then you go to court. Either way, you're gonna pay the fine and court
Right.
costs, depending on. But it was a simple question to me, but they did not know. You understand what I'm saying? And they are an adult. They're 50 something years old. You should know this. So that's why I'm saying a lot of times, depending on the advice, you know what I mean, or with the question, some people just don't know, yo.
I think I think sometimes people choose that familiar pain over your unfamiliar peace. You see what I'm saying?
No.
It's almost like it's like patterns, your faults. You so you're so you're so invested in that that familiar pain. Is you've made it a habit. You've done it all the time. You do it all the time. So you confuse it with having that familiar peace. Um, and you can't really distinguish between the two until you know if you're the advisor. Let me say if you're the person that everybody calls to give you that advice. You give that advice all the time. You that person that for me, when my girlfriend calls or you know she starts telling me about what happened or what was going on, and the advice comes so naturally because you're on the outside looking in, pretty much. You know what I mean? So there's no emotional attachment, like we said. There's no, you're not attached to the memories or anything like that. So you get you become that habit. If you're not living that same advice, you have that familiar unhealthy pattern. You know what I mean? Hello? Anybody there? Hello?
No, no, I was listening to you. I mean, I have no idea.
You
I don't
you
know too
never
many life
had
patterns.
you
I don't know
never
any.
had your phone rings.
Okay.
It's one of your friends asking
Okay.
for advice. Just what happened with you.
All right.
Before they can even finish explaining the situation, you've already got it all figured out. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
You
Okay.
already got it all figured out. I'm like, girl, if he wanted to, he would. If he was doing, yeah, you need to stop letting people use you. Whatever you
Okay.
give. Um, don't stay at that job. Whatever it is, advice you give it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it comes so natural because you're on the outside looking in.
Okay.
But then life taps you on the shoulder, and it don't have to be the same situation. It could be something, close to the situation, and
Mm-hmm.
suddenly all your confidence has disappeared. Now you're sitting there like
You don't know what
it's
to do.
almost like you start negotiating with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Whatever the situation could be, you start negotiating with yourself. You didn't give that same confidence for yourself that you gave to that person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, yeah. I mean, again, belief in what you do, but also follow through. We don't want to put the energy to follow through because some of that takes work. Giving advice is easy, you
Right.
know, it's
Right.
free.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Yeah.
And well, actually, not in today's world. And, but yeah, I mean, but sometimes if you're smart enough, you give that advice. Like we were talking about the simple thing of the Best Buy situation, right?
Right. Right. Right.
If you, the situation was this, folks. My sister Shelly had an issue with her mouse on her laptop, and she basically was working on it for like I don't know a week or something.
Right.
And she was telling me every time we talked, she was telling me about this, and I was just like, upset, not upset, but just frustrated. Just take it to Best Buy. You can take it to the Geek Squad, and you can do this, and they be fixed, and it be done. And once I got done that conversation, I got an iPad that I haven't touched for like a year because I locked it up. I forgot the password, locked it up. And as soon as I got off the conversation with her, I was like, I'm telling her to do this. And I got this iPad that I've been sitting here for a year. I didn't even follow I mean, the advice was easy. I got frustrated after a week with her, but I've been looking at something for a year and ain't did nothing about it. So I took it to Best Buy, went to the Geek Squad, boom, bam. I got but the thing was, I went back to Shelly and I told her, and, because I was like, and that's how this discussion came up, because it's like a lot of times you give advice, but you're not willing to do it. And
Right.
even if you do it, you don't go back to the person and say, this is why, boom, boom. I should, you know what I mean? And it helps that person get advice. You sound, you know what I mean? You're being truthful other than saying that your life is perfect.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, that's what that conversation came about. But yeah, I mean,
I mean,
you got to be strong enough to come back and be like, hey, yes.
let's because what you said. Let's talk about pride for a minute. Sometimes I think we don't take our own advice because if we do, we have to admit we were wrong, you know, admit that, we've been settling or whatever the case may be. Um, Red flags, we ignored the red flags. If you was in a relationship, friendship, whatever, we talked about the red flags. Um, let's be honest, nobody wants to admit that they made a mistake. our pride whispers, in our ears, whatever it could be about a
Oh man,
relationship. You put in too many years in this relationship, keep on going,
yo, people. Have you ever been in a relationship, right? And let's just say you go down the wrong street, and you with the person you in a relationship with, and
Mm.
they go, "I think you went the wrong way." No, I didn't. Right? You
Right.
realize you did go the wrong way, and then I just wanted to see what was around the corner. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness.
You know what I mean?
Yo, that is so funny because when it is a man and a woman in a car and you got a GPS on, oh my god, that is invitation for an argument.
So you're
Invitation.
driving is the invitation for an argument. Let's just be real. You cannot drive, yo. Anybody in the
Listen,
passenger seat, you're going to argue with because you can't drive.
listen. I've taken the wheel over. Like, listen, let me drive. I'm telling
Man,
you,
man,
invitation for
whatever. It's the
argument.
blind leading the blind, then, because I've been in the car with you.
Listen, don't worry about my driving.
I've been in the car. I was like, oh God, please, Lord
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. I still can't see at night, but I'll be making my way through. I'll be making my way through.
Telling y'all people, man.
Listen, you chose to get in the car with me, so oh well.
I've been some places. Why you
Oh
turn
my
like that?
God.
Who turns like that? I can only see a certain. Oh, Lord Jesus. But yeah, I
Whatever,
mean,
man.
pride will stop you from following advice.
Mhm. Yeah,
Sometimes following advice that's given or following your own advice.
right,
Pride's as they call it, MF boy. But you also need it.
right.
It's like one of those things that you need, but you got to constantly maintain. I mean, and then what I'm talking about is level of pride.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, pride to get you shot.
Ah, yeah, pride will get you killed.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
sorry, I'm looking at my kitten that just wants my attention. So he just fell.
You fell.
The kitten.
Yeah, your cat. I don't know, man.
He get his cast off
Yeah,
this week too.
he just got his cast off, right?
No, he get it off this week.
Uh, he's special. He's special.
He's entertaining. He definitely is. He is
Do we part?
entertaining. I think you know, a lot of people that do get a lot of advice, I don't think, you have people out there that carry a lot of people's burdens. You know, those people that are those advice givers that, that's always there, that's always ready to listen. Um, I think, those type of people are the people that don't take their own advice. Those people that, just carry, that one person. I don't know if guys do it, but women, you have that one friend that you always call when something going on. I don't know if guys do that. But I think some guys do it. I don't think all guys do it. But
I call my mama.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, if it depends on the seriousness of it,
Right.
because I also tell the person or ask for advice from the person I think will be honest with me.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I also ask advice to people that I think might know. Like, I don't go to a person that's lost a job and can't keep a job about how to get a job.
Right. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, you don't go to a person that's emotionally closed,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So, for me, there's not too many people in my life that, from that standpoint, I know will be honest,
Yeah.
um, hook or crook, but also, you can also think about, what about those people that are professionally doing this,
Mhm.
right? Are they the ones not living their life also? But
Right.
you see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it,
that would blow my mind. That would definitely blow
but
my
I
mind.
mean, but that's why I'm saying I don't go to a person about how to be monogamous to a person that's sleeping with everybody.
Right.
You
Right.
just don't, you know what I mean? So it all depends on who you go to for the advice. So,
Mhm.
if it's about something about, some legal stuff or whatnot, I might go to dad.
Right.
If it's more about relationships and emotional stuff, I will go to mom. I'm not going to go to dad. You
Right.
know
Right. Right.
what
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, don't go to dad for that.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you got to pick and choose,
Is it harder when setting boundaries um for yourself? Um, do you like to disappoint people or it don't matter to you? You don't care.
well, I don't care about disappointing someone when I don't know what they are expecting. All right,
Mhm.
and what I mean by that, people say, you ever hear a person say, and you don't even know what the hell they're talking about, or you should have did this, and you have no idea. Like, I don't even know you. I mean, you know what I mean? Or it's the weirdest thing. Like, you're expecting something that we've never discussed. That's what I'm saying about disappointment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Now, if a person says, I'm disappointed that you got drunk and ran over Johnny, I can understand that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's something we never spoke about, but I kind of get you.
That
You
was a
know?
crazy analogy. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of.
I think
But
I
if
don't know,
if
I
you're
think there's a
disappointed
difference
because I
between
moved, if you're disappointed, I moved to Maryland instead of Philly when I moved back.
mm,
No, I don't care about that. That's not my problem.
yeah,
That's another person's problem. That's what
mm,
I mean by certain things.
mm. I think that I feel like for me, I don't want to give the advice. For
If
me.
you ask,
I don't
well,
I
if
don't
somebody asks you what you say, I don't want to give you advice.
let me tell you something. Oh, let me tell you, I got a good one. So,
Keep it short.
I had a situation with my best girlfriend, right? And she told me that her um, grandson, who was 11, had swung on her. And I was like, what do you mean by swung on you? I was confused. And she was like, um, he swung on her. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, what did you do? She said, well, he still had a few more days left in school just before they got out. So I didn't want to do nothing yet. So I was like, what do you mean?
Or I ain't
What
want to
was
mark
you
them up.
going to do?
I ain't want to mark them up.
Yeah.
See, when we was growing up, they didn't care about marking you up. They sent you to school to
Yeah,
mark
you
you
went
up.
to school. So, long story short, we get to the
I had a
part of the
checkbook.
conversation where, well, what are you going to do about this? Where is he going for the summer? Is he going to his father's for the summer? She said, no, I'm keeping him close to me. And I'm like, well, why? I said, you don't think he should spend the summer with his father? With another man. That's what I'm thinking in my head. And she was like, no, And she really got upset with me because I was having that discussion with her. And she got upset and she didn't answer her phone for like almost 2 weeks. I
And
was
this
like,
is where, and that was a fair assessment and whatnot. And this is probably why, not knowing your friend, but I hope nobody asked me that question. Because then I would say this: if he swung on you, what made him think he could do that?
right, right,
All right.
right.
So that means, to me, right, assuming, thinking I know everything,
Yeah.
right, that he's been having it easy for a while.
Mm,
You just don't swing on your grandmother
Right.
like that.
Right. This is my thing. Um,
So my
I didn't
advice to her
I
would
didn't
be,
want to go too deep into the conversation because, I don't want to let too much of her business out. It is my best girlfriend, even though she wouldn't, flip out on
nobody, I don't even know who you're talking about. But go ahead.
Terry.
Oh, I
Terry,
didn't want you to say her name.
she's not going to care about that. She lives in Tampa now. But
Oh,
we've
that's
been
not the
best friends
babysitter lady?
since we were in high school.
Okay.
But anyway, she, that's a good thing. I mean, that's is when you give advice and the person doesn't accept the advice. Now what?
Oh,
That's
I
why
assume if you ask me for advice, you're not going to accept it. I assume that
that
because most advice comes with the fact is if you don't know what to do, then you did something wrong or you not doing something. And again, people don't like to be told they're wrong. So most advice is to correct your current situation, which per what we are talking about, right?
mhm.
Is they're going to take it negative. Most people take advice negatively. Now, that's why
I
you
didn't
actually come
expect
in.
her to take it negative because we've been friends down darn near all our lives. We've talked about all kinds. We've been through everything. Our having our children, our relationships, just life. Going from teenagers to adulthood. I
Again,
never
again, ag-
expected her to get upset.
again, right? This is one thing. Sometimes I think, you know, again, you're not from an advice standpoint, right? You got to be real, all right. And what I
Right.
mean by that is this: there's not many a times, right, to whereas a person I've known my whole life can give me advice and I don't get a little perturbed.
Mhm.
I don't, maybe, why are you coming at me that way? Blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. So for me to say, I didn't expect a person not to be, when sometimes I don't know you, as into your girlfriend, her giving you advice, but I know you somewhat.
Right.
And I would probably say if she gave you some advice, you might be like, that you didn't want to hear yet. Right.
Yeah, she did
I,
do that. She did that one day, and
mm-hmm,
I had to suck it up and take it. But
mm-hmm.
that's me. Some people don't have that accountability. She said something that was so it got underneath my skin.
Now, I know you
How
probably
bad
got
it
red cheeks
irritated
and
me.
everything because it's
Yes,
real easy to
but
say
I
when
had
you
this
get
because she
upset.
was right. I had to suck it up and take it.
But you was mad.
I was mad. Yep, I was
That's what I
mad.
just said,
Yep, yep. You're
right?
right.
So to say that she won't get mad is kind of,
But
you got to put.
she blocked me for 2 weeks.
Well, now she
I
blocked you
thought we
before you
had
said she
it.
didn't
She didn't
call
block me, but she just didn't answer the phone.
you.
But I'm like,
Yeah.
I thought, our relationship was stronger than that. If you get upset, we resolve it, or, she say what she gotta say. And she
But the
says
fact
what
you
she
get
gotta
mad,
say.
listen, and that's where the problem is, right? People start judging. All right, I was only upset for 10 minutes. You was upset for 2 weeks.
Oh,
Uh,
right.
you worse than me. Nah,
Right. I hear you. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It
Mhm.
is what it is, man.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When you can take something on the chin and smile, then I can say something. But until then, we all in the same damn boat, bro.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
we
Yeah.
can say one thing, but the reality is, it is what it is. You get some advice, you like, you might come back with a smart John. You ain't 100% with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And whatnot. It just depends. But to say, I expect when a person asks for advice, I'm gonna give it to them, and they're
Mhm.
not gonna like it. You know how I know they're not gonna like it? and this is a true thing, people, and correct me if I'm wrong. Most
Mm,
people, and they tell you a story and you give them advice,
mm.
they always try to add stuff. No, but you don't know this part. And what about this? And what
Give me the whole story, first of all.
no, but the thing is that the story keeps changing to fit
Right.
their situation.
Yeah.
To change the advice.
Right. Right.
You see
Right.
what I'm saying? Have you
Because
ever been
they want to hear what they want to hear.
right?
Right. Yeah. Hmm. That's
Perfect
funny.
example.
Yeah, that's funny. That is really funny. What about, I have, a teenage. I have a grown adult daughter now.
I say you
And
had
I have an adult daughter
had a
now.
teenage daughter,
And
now she's a grown ass woman.
we were on the phone the other day. We were on the phone for like 2 hours, and she was telling me, I mean, this girl is hilarious.
Hmm.
And she was telling me some things, about her relationship and what was going on and how she felt. And she said to me, this would made me laugh so hard. She said, yeah, I really understand the saying that the grass ain't greener on the other side. I was like, dang. But I'm glad she got that part. I'm glad she sees it and she has it. But for me, I'm always very careful about my children in their relationships when they start talking about it. Yeah, I'm very careful about what I say.
You better. I
Yes,
don't know if that's true.
I, I
Um,
I'm very careful at that because until they really open that door and let me in, um, because it's so much right now that I want to ask her and say to her, but I'm really tiptoeing it around it. And I don't know if that's the right thing to do. You know,
well, I'll put it to you like this, right? You can only, and this is where people have a problem, right? How do you want to be treated? Do you want your mom and dad in your relationship?
right, right.
The answer is no.
Yeah. I mean,
So
yeah, yeah.
no, it's the same thing.
But I don't, you think it's the same? I don't think it's the same with
How?
everybody because,
It's
you know,
not the same because you're the parent. But what I'm saying is, you would not want them in your relationship. You
right,
don't want them asking you about your relationship.
right, right. That's for me. That's for me. But I don't know if my child feels that way or a lot of other people I've heard people talk about, how the relationship they have with their mother or and the stuff they talk about with their mother. You
I don't
know.
know, man. I try to treat people the way I want to be treated.
Mm,
So if I don't want you in my business, I'm not going to get in yours. I don't care what the relationship is.
mm,
You understand what I'm saying?
mm.
I don't because when you come back at me, I'm like, yo, I don't come in your business. Why you in mine?
Right, right, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Mom,
I
dad,
can
whatever.
understand that. Yeah, I can understand that. But I just want to, I just be trying to figure out,
You
should I
nosy.
say something? Yes. Or, what kind of advice could I give her on this? Because she was talking and she was telling me stuff, and I was biting my tongue because I didn't really want it. I didn't know if this was a door that was open or she was just venting. You know what I mean? You got to know the
What's
difference.
what's wrong with asking?
What do you mean? Act like,
I
well,
ask all the time in my relationship. They start talking. I'm like, do you want advice or you just talking?
wow. That's a man thing. Yeah.
I
Because
mean,
y'all want to
because the thing,
y'all don't want to hear the in between stuff. Y'all want to get to the point and y'all want to resolve it. Y'all don't
no,
really want to hear the in
that's not it.
between.
It's what am I here? What are we doing? Right? Because y'all
Mm,
don't explain your shit, right? Y'all
uh,
just start talking,
right,
right? So then if we go, and walk away, did you hear anything I wanted? I wanted some advice, right?
right.
Or if you person talking and then you be like, well, I would do this. I just want you to listen.
Again, that is a
No, I
man
just want you
thing.
to listen to me.
That's a
So,
man's thing. I literally just went through the same thing
so
a
my
couple
thing
days
is, what
ago.
I do is I ask. Now, is this conversation advice, or you just want me to listen?
Yeah, that's a
I
man
like
thing.
to be clear on that
Mhm.
because there's too many instances to where, because men want to fix things and women
Right,
want to nurture,
right. I agree with that. I mean, that's
right? So why not put it out in the beginning? Yo, I'm just talking because I'm venting. And sometimes she'll actually come back and be like, thanks for letting me vent. All right, later. Right. But you got to put it up there, man, because
that. Listen, that has been going on men always say that, women say the same thing. That's been the thing where, men don't want to hear, and y'all don't want to hear the vent. Y'all don't want to hear the in between. Y'all want to fix it. Y'all want to resolve it. Get to the point. That's a man.
until we know, meaning this honesty, I'll ask. Because listen, no, I don't want to hear your long stories,
Yeah,
right? Because they're long,
yeah.
right? A lot of stuff, a lot of things about it that really don't matter to the point of the daggone story. But y'all want to get the complete story out.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Now, if I'm told that this is more of a vet,
Hmm.
tell your story.
Hmm.
But advice, cut to the point. Right? Point A, point B, all that other fluff don't matter in the advice. And that's real talk, y'all.
Yeah, yeah. I think I, I'm just circling back to what I was just talking about as far as my kids, and I don't know if other parents feel this way or if they, go through this. When do you say something? You know what I mean? When and I'm talking about, it could be all kinds of things, relationship, money, anything. When do you step in and say, all right, I got to tell you this. I got to say something,
Well, I mean, you never
going
want
about this
anybody
the
hurt,
wrong
so
way.
hopefully you can jump in before it goes all the crap or hit the
Right.
bottom. But at the end of the day, you can only do what a person tell you or a person asks, right?
Mhm.
Um, unless it's unhealthy, unless it's dangerous.
Right, right,
But if
right,
it's
right.
a normal life thing,
Yeah.
most of the time you don't learn until you go through it, man. So,
Mhm.
uh, you can't save a child if you're talking about children. I
Mhm.
think you were
Mhm.
from everything out there, right? So you got to let them go through stuff. You can give them advice, but what do they say? You can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it, whatever the case may be.
Right.
That type of thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it is what it is. I give advice to, well, my son, Brandon, my other son, he doesn't speak to me. My daughter, she don't need no advice from me. She go to her mom for that. But
Mhm.
my middle son, I mean, we talk, and it's amazing. The whole conversation is me talking about, this and this, and at the end of the conversation, you wind up going like, man, that was a lot. Right? I gave like the whole conversation was advice, stories, talking
Ah,
about different concepts, but that's who he is.
right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The child that doesn't want to hear anything, that conversation will probably be totally different.
Yeah. That
You
is
know,
so deep. That's how me and Frankie could talk about anything. We can go deep into a conversation. We could talk about relationships. We could talk about anything.
mm,
My youngest son, I feel like he got all the answers and he don't even know the questions yet.
mm.
I'm like, dude, you don't even know the questions.
But see, kids use that too, also to give you that guilt. Because one thing you said early in the conversation is a kid will sometimes come to you and say, "Well, you did it. Why are you
Right,
telling
right,
me?" Right?
right,
I
right.
think that's what you kind of, and in that sense, I don't listen, man. I could poop in my hand and throw it in your face. It's not what I do, it's what I say when you in
Right,
this house,
right, right, right.
right? And you'll have the same responsibility and blah blah blah. I'll give you advice, but he's also 15 some odd years possibly younger than the oldest. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, they're at different levels now. And also the, how can I say this? He's at a different maturity level. That's one. And at that age, you didn't want to hear anything. I know I didn't want to hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the conversations normally got better as you got older, right? As you started living life.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, when you start living life on your own, right? That's when you started realizing some of the advice that was given to you was actually right.
Right.
That you didn't want to
Yeah,
listen
some of
to.
the best advice in the world, if
Right.
you ain't taking action on it, guys, it's just useless. It's useless. Go
What
ahead.
is, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
what you saying?
I said some of the best advice that we give in the world, if you ain't taking action on it, is useless. You didn't use it.
Yeah. So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, as it gets older and things of that sort, I'm sure he'll come around and the advice that, but at that age, you don't know anything.
Right.
You don't even know how to fix your mouse.
That's
No,
how I
I
can
mean, that's
always
how
tell.
kids look at it. I
Yes, I
mean,
can always tell when my kids lying is they always do something with their mouth. It'd be so funny. They always do. Every last one of them. They do something the same thing with their mouth.
you ever see yourself lie?
No, I don't look at myself in the
You should. You
in the
should. You do.
mirror.
You do something with your mouth,
Yeah,
and your cheeks get a little red right here.
right. Do you know what you do when you lie? You look just like you looking right now.
Damn right.
Always lying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, and that's the thing, right? Because that's when you can tell when I'm trying to give you some advice and see how mad you got.
You wasn't giving me no advice. You was
See,
BSing like you
people see her
always
face.
do.
See her face.
You always BSing. That's what you do. You love to be messy. That's what you do. I don't understand it about you, but hey,
I love to do what again?
you always like to be messy. That's what you
It's
do.
gaslighting.
Yeah, you just messy. That's all. I mean, I don't get offended by it as much anymore, but you just messy. But anyway, so
People pick out
knowledge
how many times
knowledge
you lie in
changes your
the
mind, huh?
No, go ahead, but
Knowledge changes your mind. It you gotta accept the advice. Take accountability. You know, actions changes your life. If you're going to ask for advice or you receive that advice, you have to take action on that advice. You can't just sit on it. Those things will change in your life. You know what I mean?
let me
If
ask you a question. Being a faithful person that you are,
Mhm.
and I'm being sincere about that.
Mhm.
Religious advice,
Mhm.
and God speaking to you advice.
Mhm.
That's the advice most people, other than the fact of the advice that we get from the people, our peers, family, and that sort of thing. What
Mhm.
about the advice that we feel through the word? The advice that, you feel that feeling where God tells you to go left and you go right.
Right.
What
Yeah.
about that advice?
Yeah. That's something totally that's so spiritual because you know first of all, the word never changes. That advice, that's one thing that never changes. You're always going to get the same exact response because that advice just never changes. Word doesn't, scripture doesn't change. But if you're, and if you're, a spiritual person like we are, I love my church, VCC. But
I love my church, MYSELF.
Bye. Anyway, I think, when you're talking to God and he gives you that answer, sometimes a lot of people may not know that what it looks like. But if you're talking to God and he gives you that answer, you better take that answer. I tell you that. You better follow that advice Okay.
There's one thing I want to tell people, guys, and this is more of a lesson than anything. You ever go through life and you get advice from people, job, family, the word, and you don't listen, and
Mhm.
then the situation gets worse,
Mhm.
and then it gets worse, and it gets worse, and a lot of times you don't grow to the next level, and you keep going
Mhm.
through the same pains because you're not paying attention to the advice or the knowledge or the help or whatever that's out there for you.
Right.
So if you sit back sometimes and go, how come my life is getting worse, or if it's the same, it's because
God is
listen to
not
the things
pleased.
around you, listen to the
Mhm.
advice that might be out there, and make a change.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I totally agree. You can't, you like bro said, you cannot elevate until you finish and complete that lesson that you're in right now. I think that's some great advice, bro. I think that was some great advice. I like that.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Now to end it off, first of all, LeBron coming to Philly is okay, but he's only going to bring money to the city. Ain't no championship going to be won unless we make some serious trades other than LeBron. But I want to know the cap. I want to know the money plus Joe Embiid. If he can stay healthy, there's a good chance something can be. But we need to we need to look at the roster before we start jumping up and down. But
Hmm.
it's a good start.
Hmm. I'm just not having that conversation with you because I feel like you're a hater of
It'll
Philadelphia.
bring some money. It'll bring some money. It'll bring some money to the city. You know what I'm saying? But and they can fix some of them streets.
Mhm. I don't know what you talking about. Mayor Sherelle Parker got every speed bump there is on them streets. Them streets is fixed.
Man, they got speed bumps, but man, they still got them
Everywhere you
potholes.
drive in Philadelphia is a speed bump.
And 95 is still what? The city of death. I mean, the highway of death.
Yeah, people see 95 and do 95. That's what it is.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and plus the highway is crap. 76, did they fix 76 yet?
No, that's the worst highway I think there
Huh?
ever was.
Right. So
I'm
what we
like, why
talking
did you make a a two-lane highway? Make that make sense? That
again?
travels, that goes through the whole center of the city. Like everybody has to travel. Why is it two lanes? That makes no sense to me. I don't know
Again.
who came up with that, but
Yeah,
that's how I
but
feel about it. I've never.
maybe LeBron will fix 76, okay? Because
Yeah,
unless they
whatever,
make some
man.
trades, y'all ain't gonna win no championship.
Whatever, man. Bye.
All
Whatever.
right, babe. You
So
be good.
listen, remember, we are all a work in progress. None of us have it all figured out. The goal isn't perfection because nobody's perfect but God. It's progress. You just, learn those lessons, learn those growth lessons, learn them elevated lessons. And, every day is another opportunity to close the gap between what we know and how we live. So if today's conversation made you stop and reflect, then we've accomplished exactly what we came here to do. So keep the conversation going, guys.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Peace.